fog rolled across the Thames embankment like a gray velvet curtain, muffling the rattle of hansom cabs and the hiss of gas lamps. In the hush, a solitary figure perched on the balustrade, coattails fluttering, eyes luminous as a cat's. Iris Locke, called the tick-tock pickpocket in penny dreadfuls she secretly collected, waited for the bells of St. Paul's to toll the half-hour. Each chime was another coin in her pocket. Each gap between chimes was hers alone, because time itself obeyed her gloved hand. When the bells struck, she pulled a silver stopwatch from her waistcoat. Its crystal face was spider-webbed with fissures. Hairline cracks radiated from the center like the spokes of a wheel. She pressed the crown. Silence deepened into something absolute. The river halted its sluggish roil, and a gull hung motionless above the water, wings frozen mid-beat, beak ajar in a noiseless screech. Carriages petrified, horses rearing in statuesque terror. London became a daguerreotype, black and white save for Iris's own heartbeat thrumming scarlet through her veins. 60 seconds. Always 60. She leapt down and strode along the pavement, silhouetted figures glinting with dew. From the waistcoat of a banker mid-stride, she slid an antique chronometer. The gold hunter case was engraved with ivy leaves, an irony she savored. From a lady's reticule near Temple Bar, she lifted a pearl-handled lapel watch. 35 seconds left. A bobby in the middle of directing traffic lost the silver turnip watch dangling from his belt. 15 seconds. Every watch's tick went quiet the moment she pocketed it, as though they recognized a queen among horological thieves. 10 seconds. She jogged for the alley where she knew time's restraints would loosen again. 5, 4, 3. The stopwatch grew hot. 2, 1. London lurched into motion. Horses whinnied, the gull finished its cry, and the city's noise came crashing back like cymbals after a rest. Iris leaned against brickwork, breathing steam, listening to the confused murmurs of people feeling for timepieces suddenly vanished. A smile nicked at her mouth. Another night, another hall, another inch closer to freeing her little brother Oliver from the sanatorium. She didn't see the man across the street who hadn't been fooled by the freeze. Constable Edwin Hale shut his notebook and slid it into his greatcoat. He had not frozen. He never did. The first time the world stopped for everyone else during a child's game on Clapham Common, he'd thought he was cursed, fated to move while loved ones remained statues. Now, 32 and recently promoted, he called it a talent the same way one calls thunder. Weather. It simply was. For months, he'd studied an impossible pattern. Wristwatches lifted at the exact same moment in districts miles apart. No witness could identify the thief because everyone remembered only a bewildering shiver, a blink, an absence. Tonight, he'd watched the woman dart like a sparrow between citizens and peel away gleaming prizes. When time returned, she disappeared into an alley, whose mouth still trembled with echoes. Edwin followed, steps silent on wet cobbles. The alley kinked left, then plunged into darkness where an iron fire escape ladder hung. A figure was halfway up. "Evening," he called. She froze, not in the way she had frozen whole burrows, but in the ordinary startled way thieves did when the law coughed behind them. She glanced down, angular face dusted with freckles, trousers tucked into knee-high boots, a boyish cap awry. "Can't chat, Constable," she said. "The clocks are running." "I know," he said, reaching the bottom rung. "They ran straight past everyone but you and me." Her eyes narrowed. She dropped to the ground rather than be cornered at the top. "That so?" "The freeze trick. I'm not susceptible. Your 60 seconds end, mine never started." He removed his truncheon but held it loosely. "Return the watches and we can discuss misdemeanor versus felony. Keep them and we discuss Newgate. No one was hurt." She took a step back. "Besides, you can't prove I nicked anything. Pockets could be empty as a church on Monday." He gestured toward the bulge in her coat. That's either horological treasure or a remarkably square lung. Her laugh surprised them both. Light, unguarded. Clever. I like clever. Iris pivoted, intending to bolt, but he was faster. He seized her wrist. She twisted, used his grip as anchor, kicked off the wall, and flipped herself behind him. The maneuver wrenched her limb free but cost her balance. She landed on knees. Watches clinked. Edwin spun, impressed despite himself. Return them, he repeated, voice softer. Can't. She met his eyes, and something electric flickered. They're spoken for. By whom? Offense? Your purse? My brother. A beat. Hospital fees. Edwin, an orphan from Whitechapel who'd clawed into the constabulary because nothing else paid honest bread, understood desperation. Yet laws were mortar in the city's foundation. Remove one brick and the wall collapsed. Duty warred with sympathy. He opened his mouth to offer reasonable surrender, and she pressed the stopwatch a second time. The street lamps froze, their flames sculpted into glassy teardrops. Puddle ripples arrested mid-sequel. Only Edwin remained fluid. Iris looked aghast. You're really immune, she breathed. Told you. She backed away, disbelief morphing into calculation. 60 seconds, copper. You can't arrest me in front of statues, can't shout for help. I only need me, Edwin said, advancing. She vaulted over a crate, sprinted deeper into the labyrinth of yards where goods wagons slept. He pursued, boots thudding against echoing shutters. 20 seconds gone. Wooden pallets became hurdles, washing lines snares. 30 seconds. She veered into an abattoir corridor, littered with hanging carcasses. The smell was intense, even when time had no wind. 45 seconds. A chain dangled. Iris seized it, swung like a pendulum over blood-slick floor, clipping hooks as she passed. Edwin barged through, ducking halves of beef frozen like crimson curtains. 55 seconds she dashed for a side door. 60. Time roared back like surf. A beef flank swung into Edwin's shoulder. He staggered. Knives clattered from a butcher's block. Iris escaped through the side door, breath ragged, limbs trembling with adrenaline and the jangling of pilfered watches. When Edwin burst outside, she was gone. Rain drummed the rooftops. A cat, previously mid-pounce upon a mouse, finished its kill and slunk under a barrel. Edwin leaned against brick and exhaled a foggy sigh. The thief had a name, a face, and a motive. Now he had a chase worth the sum of his strange gift. 3 nights later, London buzzed about an upcoming auction at Harrington's on Bond Street. Pocket watches from Napoleon to Newton, heirlooms laced with rubies and scandal. Edwin predicted Iris could no more resist that room than a poet could resist rhyme. He arranged for additional constables, but discreetly. If Iris recognized a trap too early, she would simply freeze the crowd and leave behind a social gathering of bewildered mannequins. On the appointed evening, ladies in velvet gowns swished between glass cases while monocled collectors pointed out tourbillons and fusee-chain movement wonders. Edwin wore plainclothes and browsed an exhibit of chronometers seized from captured pirates. His heartbeat sounded loud, not nerves, anticipation. At 8:47 he saw her. No cap tonight. Instead, she wore a midnight blue dress that left her shoulders bare and her pockets invisible. She glided past a case containing a watch once owned, according to legend, by the devil himself. Their eyes met across a display of Swiss minute repeaters. Her lips parted in mute consternation. He inclined his head. Good evening. She gave a slight, mocking curtsy. Then she touched her throat where the stopwatch hung on a chain like an unholy locket. Edwin sprinted, but she pressed the crown before he crossed 2 steps. Again the world froze. A champagne bubble caught halfway to surface, an auctioneer's mallet poised above the lectern. Iris ran toward the private collection wing, dress rustling. Edwin followed, marveling at how she navigated sculpture gardens of human flesh without remorse. Not many minutes left for museuming, he said. That joke was criminal. She darted through a servant's door. Which is my department, granted. Down a service hallway lined with portraits of long-dead watchmakers, she halted, breathing hard. "Why you?" she asked. "Why are you outside the tick?" "I don't know," Edwin answered honestly. "I just am." "Lucky, unlucky, both." She pressed a hand to a portrait's frame. Behind it, a wall safe gleamed. "I could trap you, you know." "How?" "Leave you where no one else moves. Hide until the freeze ends. Let colleagues cuff you when they start breathing." Pain flickered through her eyes. "But I'm tired of traps." "Then stop laying them." She laughed, a serrated sound. "I need the money, Constable. We can find legal charities for Oliver." "Yes, I found his record." He softened. "You don't have to." Voices echoed from the hallway, a guard patrolling. Iris scanned for exit, desperate. "I can't be caged." "Walk out with me voluntarily," Edwin said. "Return everything. We tell the magistrate about your brother, about this power. They'll research it instead of punishing it, maybe help." The suggestion startled her more than shackles would have. "You trust the system that much?" "I enforce it because someone has to. Why not make it kinder?" She closed her eyes. "Don't make me believe in miracles, Hale." Footsteps neared. Iris ripped the stopwatch from her neck, shoved it at him. "Hold this." Edwin took it. She stepped back, raised her hands. "I surrender." The guard rounded the corner, mustache bristling. "Sir, everything all right?" "Thief just decided to give herself up," Edwin said. The guard gaped at the elegant woman in a blue gown. "Her?" "It's always the one nobody suspects," Iris quipped. Edwin escorted her to a side office while the guard went to summon higher authorities. The door shut. Silence. "Your move, Copper," she murmured. He examined the fissured stopwatch. "You hand me your only weapon." "Why?" "Because I didn't fancy you wrestling me for it, and I'm gambling." She sank onto a chair. "I've been calculating odds since I was 6 dice cards, minutes. I think you're a better gamble than another 60-second sprint." He paced. "You realize turning yourself in might not keep Oliver out of debt or out of hospital." "I realize," she said quietly, "but maybe it keeps my conscience from turning gangrenous." "Except in hospital," Edwin regarded her. In lamplight, she looked less like a mythic thief and more like a woman who'd carried too much weight on narrow shoulders. Sparks again, this time not of pursuit, but of possibility. "If I keep the watch, can you still freeze time?" he asked. "Only with that one. I've tried others. Something about its mechanism." She rubbed her wrists. "Without it, I'm ordinary." "Stay here," he said. He stepped outside, intercepted the returning guard, and sent him to fetch Inspector Broadley. "Tell the inspector I need 5 minutes," he instructed, voice steel. The guard, unnerved by Hale's reputation for odd prescience, complied. Edwin re-entered. "We have 3 minutes before Broadley arrives. Listen closely." He laid out a plan. Iris would write a confession naming her fence. Marlowe Briggs, mastermind behind the distribution of stolen antiquities. Edwin would claim Iris had turned informant voluntarily in exchange for leniency, and that she'd only just now returned the unique stopwatch. The constabulary wanted Briggs worse than they wanted a singular thief. Briggs trafficked weapons, forged coins, laundered blood money. If Iris's information led to his capture, the Crown might commute her sentence to time served plus community restitution, meaning, she asked. "Helping the Yard solve cases involving temporal anomalies," he said, half smiling. "Seems you're an expert." She barked a surprised laugh. "You'd hire me?" "Consultants aren't bound by same rules as constables," he noted. "And if you run, I still have your trick pocket." She considered, chewing her lip. Then, "Deal, but one condition. Oliver's care comes first. I'll sign whatever papers necessary." They shook hands, a charge sparking at the juncture of palm and fingers. Broadley entered, all walrus mustache and pomp. Iris delivered her prepared spiel with stagworthy contrition. The inspector, eager for a lead on Briggs, agreed to provisional leniency. Papers were drawn, signatures dried like ink butterflies. By midnight, Iris walked free, technically under Hale's custody, practically a fledgling colleague. They emerged onto rain-washed Bond Street. Carriages glazed with droplets rolled by. Iris hugged herself against the chill. Edwin removed his coat and draped it over her shoulders. She eyed the gesture. Chivalry, or a sneaky way to keep me within arm's reach? Both, he admitted. She laughed again, softer now. It's strange. I've stolen 1,000 watches, yet tonight is the first moment I feel I own my time. He held up the cracked stopwatch, the power muted without her hand upon it. One question remains. What do we do with this? Destroy it, she suggested. Too dangerous. He studied the fractured glass. Or study it. Learn how it does what it does. Could help more than it harms, with rules. He glanced sideways. If someone trustworthy were in charge. The last trustworthy person I met tried to arrest me, she teased, and succeeded, technically. He tucked the watch into an inner pocket. But perhaps, on a very provisional basis, I could be persuaded to share stewardship. Their shoulders brushed as they walked. Behind them, Harrington's lamps reflected in puddles like coins strewn for the moon to collect. Somewhere a clock tower chimed midnight. Neither froze. They were, for the first time, perfectly in step with each other. Weeks passed. Marlowe Briggs, lured into an abandoned railway depot by a bogus offer of 27 rare chronometers, found himself surrounded by constables. Iris, perched on a gantry, tipped Hale a salute when Briggs was clapped in irons. Headlines hailed the arrest, the yard's reputation glowed. Iris's name was omitted per agreement, though occasional whispers of a lady of seconds circulated among dockside gossip. Oliver transferred to a private clinic funded by seized assets from Briggs's operation. Iris visited daily before reporting to Scotland Yard, where she and Edwin pored over cases of missing trains, stuttering telephone lines, and rumors of a man who could reverse 5 seconds of reality. A rival temporal eccentric, perhaps. She teased Edwin about forming a club, the unreasonably timely investigators. One rainy afternoon, she hovered at his desk, twirling a quill. Tell me something, Hale. When the world stops and you alone move, does it ever scare you? It used to, he replied. But then I met someone else moving. It's less lonely now. Heat pricked her cheeks. She set the quill down. You know, sparks fly faster than stopped clocks. He raised an eyebrow. Is that so? Prove me wrong. He stood, stepped close enough she could count the freckles she'd seen reflected in watch cases. Fair warning, he murmured. I've never been good at slow dances. Lucky for you, she said, reaching to where the stopwatch rested in his pocket. I'm an expert at making the fast moments last. She did not press the crown. She didn't have to. They kissed in ordinary time, each second as precious as contraband, unpaused, unstolen, entirely theirs. Outside, St. Paul's bells tolled the hour, marking the passing of time as faithfully as ever. Inside, 2 people who had once stood on opposite sides of a frozen city discovered that sometimes the most remarkable trick was simply letting moments happen. And London, wise old city, kept ticking. End of Sick Ticking.